my posture all corrected.
I know, right? Well, welcome, guys. I'm Adam Atkinson, and I'm here with Casey Samsel, and this is the Wine Now, Sweat Later cast.
Yepper.
Are you drinking anything today?
I'm drinking rosé today.
Look at you.
6 ounces.
So I'm bringing spring break back to life again today.
Yes. Well, I love Coors Light.
I do too, but it's really
hard. All day.
It's hard for me to drink it and not have like Dr. Dre Chronic 2001 going on in the background.
Kind of like you wish it was a 40, but it's not.
I know. We all went through some phases in college, and you know, I grew up like super conservative, and then I went to college, and I was like, what do I do? You know?
I know. Well, see, that's how it gets you. I feel like I was the opposite. I was super conservative, and like when I went through school and stuff like that, and then outside I was like, wait, I did that wrong.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all the power to you. But yeah, Coors Light's definitely the drink of the summer. I agree.
Yes,
they can sponsor us.
You know, I haven't seen a fitness person sponsored by a beer company yet.
Don't people drink beer as like a quick carb for like marathons?
Yeah, they have. I've heard that oftentimes with my clients who have done like marathon programs, and I have heard that.
They like give you an option, like you have like a light beer or you have Gatorade.
Yes.
And like the stops. We're all picking beer. Forget the Gatorade.
I think we'd see more people run marathons if that were the case.
Yeah, right. For real though. True. So I know we have like a couple topics that we want to cover. Just it's on like a personal basis. It was something that somebody was concerned about, right?
Yeah.
So,
a lot of people were asking me, how do you control stage nerves? And we can probably even take that a step further, not even stage nerves, but maybe, you know, the night before the competition. Or, you know, like a great example, all the girls in Chicago right now, I picture girls hanging out in their room, trying to relax, but not really relaxing because they're on their phones scoping out Instagram and not really letting destiny take its place. You know, they're worrying and they're comparing themselves already, and your comparison doesn't really matter. I think it's great to look back on that stuff after the show and say, these women are goals and here's what I want with my next physique. But right. I think a lot of people rob themselves of joy and rob themselves of being very proud of the physique.
Of their own pride that they've built along the way. I know. You see it all the time. And you see like all these people that could be winners. They could take the whole show, but somehow they get inside their head and, you know, they completely, it's like a debacle, you know?
Yeah. So, their peak week and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have my girls test fasted blood sugar. It's a really good gauge for a lot of things, but it's not always consistent. Stress can change that. And normal readings like 99 and below and never below 70. And after eating, it can be pretty high. You know, it can be up into the 200s. I had a girl, her fasted reading was always in the 70s. And before a show, she was 130s. I've never seen that before. So she was super nervous, super, super anxious. And
so do you notice that changing like a lot for your girls, like depending on what time they get up? Because here's like my big thing about peak week is like if a girl is used to waking up at like 10 a.m. and you know the show starts at 9 a.m. on a Saturday. So do you start do you like kind of tell them to start manipulating their sleep schedule to get more kosher with waking up at possibly like 4:30 or 5 a.m.?
Well, usually do is if they are getting up that early and it's so outside their normal schedule, I'll have them try to lay down and at least take a nap again later.
Right. So somehow getting those hours in.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So, but we'll have them start drinking a little bit just to get hydrated.
Right.
And have their first meal.
Yeah. Okay. So like So do you notice that, I'm assuming that it's going to be a little bit different, because around like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, like there's like things like going on with the liver, like your body's like doing these different cycles that it goes through all night long. So do you notice like those levels being different depending on what time your client's getting up?
They can. You'll usually see a lot of consistency during the week. Great example, Britt Hamilton's been 74 all week, just off the top of my head. And that's pretty normal. So I could expect, like, let's say she wakes up 3 or 4 hours earlier, she might be like 84. But she's been going to bed. Actually, it's hard to say where she's been going to bed because I've always been feeding her up, but she's been at like anywhere from 102 to dipping down to 94. And I'm like, that's pretty low. So let's spike that. Let's get some more food in you and let you dissipate overnight.
So when you do that, can you see girls like say like it's Wednesday, like, so would you while they're sleeping, if it's, something's like way out of whack, would you have them actually wake up at night and eat like a rice cake?
Not wake up at night. I'll never break that sleep cycle, but I might give it to them before they go to bed. So
okay, right.
Yeah, I think that it's key just making sure that they spike high enough that it just slowly drops back down. So I start getting worried when I see people, in the like dead on 70, they're about to nearly wake up hypo, that doesn't typically happen, but sometimes you're giving people more carbs and you just see that glucose keep lowering and lowering as they kind of have that runaway metabolism. There's always other variables at play with that, but I do like it as a second measure for sure.
Yeah, I think that's cool. So what our biggest concern is stress, I guess, stress before the stage. And especially like, even with that like level, like just eyeballing and testing and like the mental game, all that stuff, like the day before and even sometimes 2 days before, because you're doing all the flying and the walking and the extra stress of making sure you're on time to things and getting your meals timed right, even when you're flying, keeping that water flowing is super important. So because the routine is like thrown off a little bit, you don't just wake up, do your cardio, go to the gym, you go to work and eat your meals strategically. Like now you have like a flight and, all this stuff is kind of thrown at you. So for me, what I've found, like because I did a lot of traveling in the last couple of years to all these pro shows, and I loved every second of it, but it did take a little bit of time for me to grasp onto the fact that it was always going to be just a little bit hectic. But as long as you're prepared and you're mentally prepared that things might go wrong, then you'll be okay.
Yeah.
So, I always plan like in advance, like, because like delayed flights happen. You see that all the time. And then you see IG stories where they're like, my flight's delayed. I don't know what I'm going to do. Okay. So my point for that is, as long as you are on stage when the show starts, that's all you need to be. You know what I mean?
The most important thing to compete in, yes, or for your competition is being there.
Right. So I've always learned, like I remember that Miami show, the Miami Muscle Beach, that's the one. In 2017, I literally flew in the morning of, I got there at 6 a.m., already had my one tan on. I flew in from Nashville, got there, got my makeup done, got my second layer of tan done, and it was only like 2 hours until prejudging. Went on, got first call outs. I wasn't stressed at all, just because the time was pressed and I had all these appointments and stuff. I just made it happen. I just, I didn't stress out. And what was the worst that could happen? That I don't get on stage, but you get on stage. So it's all about like planning and just being, just not letting that stress affect you, because cortisol literally can come out. It can spike even when you don't think it is.
Absolutely.
It's so lean and, so sensitive, you're sensitive to like temperature. You're sensitive to, little tiny sounds, things like that. So
have you ever had a client miss a stage time ever?
A stage time? Yes, actually.
That's one thing I have not had happen yet, thank God.
Yeah, my very first year, I had told the girl, I said, you want to get there before prejudging starts. I said, it's going to run quick, small show, up in Pittsburgh. she said, didn't believe me. So she got there at 10 and bikini was already on. They switched bikini to the second class and she had missed her first one. So I just, like coach mode, like sprinted backstage and I said, I need my girl in this class. I need her in this class, fix it. And luckily they did. But I mean, that's not always the case.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, I'm assuming just because it was a small show, we got lucky, but that was the only case that it happened.
That's awesome. That's good that they accommodated you guys. I had a girl come very close. She actually left her phone in the bathroom. A complete stranger was texting me. And luckily that girl met up with my wife. And I was like, you've got to run backstage like right now. They're calling your number. And I swear to God, she made it by 4 or 5 seconds.
Yeah, man. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
And then once you get there, you got to, like, recollect yourself and get out there. Give it to them, you know?
Exactly. So there's always, like, with these scenarios, there's always worse things that can happen, right? And like you said, not getting on stage. And I see too many girls just, you know, being the thief of joy and just worried about what's going on Instagram. It doesn't matter on stage. Tons of girls have great Instagram photos and they might have horrible, you know, I'm glad Instagram really wasn't hot when I was competing because I never knew who I was competing against. And I think it's different for guys. You know, we don't really do up our hair like you girls do. To me, that's the most intimidating fact because that's what you can't get away from unless you're just looking down the whole time. But if you want to see and engage with girls, you have to look at their face. And I think on the pro level, all of you girls are so beautiful. That is very intimidating. It's very tough. When I was backstage at Pittsburgh Pro with the pros, it's, you know, Jennifer Dory is just beautiful. All these girls are striking. Skylar looked great. I didn't recognize her because she changed her hair color, but I was like, who's that? And I was like, oh, that's who that is. And Lauren Dannemiller, of course, is awesome. And I got to meet her boyfriend, Kyle. But that is very intimidating to me as a coach. You know, some of these girls don't look like they're faking it till they make it. You know, a lot of girls, you can tell if they've been in the makeup chair for 2 hours. These girls look like they've just kind of woken up and they did a little bit of makeup and then they're out there.
Right. Yeah. They literally just heighten their you know, their details and stuff in their face. And that's it. They're all very, very beautiful women. So, I mean, because I see them every time I get on stage, you know what I mean? And to me, it's even still intimidating, you know what I mean? Just those little aspects. I mean, because we all have like our little bit like of insecurities, like me with my hair. I went and spent a crap ton of money on my hair because I always see these girls with this beautiful long hair and I never had that. I always had to wear extensions. So it's a huge mental game, especially for the women, because we have so many, like a huge list of things that we have to accomplish and you know, before we get on stage. So, I mean, I know that the guys do too, the tan and everything like that. And, but for women, it's a matter of feeling confident. We literally could have the best body in the world, but if we don't like our hair, it's over.
I agree. You'll always tend to focus on the negative. And that's what I'll tell girls is, you know, use people who you trust, use makeup artists that you've definitely heard of. I had a girl in Michigan this weekend. She had never heard of the makeup company, and she literally got yanked out of her makeup chair to go do her class. They weren't even completely finished.
Oh, boy.
I know. I was not happy with that company afterwards.
Oh, my goodness. So that's I mean, again, for me, like I've always, I don't know if you've felt this about me, but I've always just tried to keep my cool in all those aspects because I know that worrying about anything isn't going to help my case.
Definitely.
You get a couple minutes up there, like you can pull it together and then do your complaining afterwards or whatever it is, you know what I mean? But unfortunate things do happen. I've witnessed, not even trying to be, you know, not taking that, you know, to another level, but I've witnessed a girl get a phone call from a relative saying that one of her nieces had passed away. we were in line for prejudging.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know, with the help of everybody there, she was able to, like, you know, get her face cleaned up and get her, you know, get it together for the 2 minutes that she needed up on stage, and then she did it. You know what I mean? So honestly, for me, I think I would have done the same thing no matter how hard it was, because you work so hard. It's a big personal thing. It's a big personal, what's the word? Trying not to cry. So it's like a big personal staple for me to just kind of overcome, like, you're overcoming like obstacles in your prep. There may be one on show day. There may be one the night before. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And because it's so close, it might seem like it's like really, really big. You know what I mean? Or it's really, really gonna, you know, throw a wrench in it or whatever. But for me, I can always pull myself like back into like competition mode and get myself up there. And again, too, like family deaths are not easy, but I've seen people get on stage right afterwards.
Yeah.
So I've done it. I did it twice. So, and those are the type of things that you use for motivation. You say, you know, like if something's not going right, say Friday night, you know, you're getting nervous, and then all of a sudden you're holding water, and then you're getting more nervous and you're holding water. Your first response should be to just shut it down. Eat your meals, go the hell to bed, wake up in the morning, and I, you know, nearly guarantee you that you're going to be absolutely perfect in the morning and ready to go. If you were perfect 2 hours ago, what changed? Unless you ate an entire pizza.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, while you're sleeping, your body regenerates itself, and it cleans house.
How many times have you seen the person you were maybe worried about, you know, being a good competitor, you place ahead of, or they weren't even close in the running? I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened to me a couple times for sure. Yeah. Because I've done so many shows though too, so I've had probably a lot, you know, more experience, more times. But so for me, I would say like the traveling and the night before the show, I just do exactly what I need to do, and I always give myself extra time, all the time, extra time. Mm-hmm. Protein DIY kit, do it on your own time, stay in your hotel room, get it done. You don't have to worry about going to get in line, nothing like that. Keep your meals in order. And I even have that guide, like I said, it tells you like just little things like, if you don't have a microwave, do this. If you don't have a refrigerator, do this. Like I have so many different things like in that. Like it's a really good guide. But I always plan for shit to hit the fan, just in the case that it does. Always.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know even for me, my business, I always have to leave a little room for life to happen, because sometimes my weeks don't go as smooth, or like a client or 10 clients need a phone call. That always happens. You have to leave room for things not to go smooth as you think they're going to. And that was definitely key. So
yeah. The last 2 weeks have been like that for me. You feel that when I texted you yesterday. I was like, oh goodness. Here I am. I don't know how fresh faced I am, but I showed up.
Yeah, and you've got the fashion show this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Yeah. I'm just gonna take a rest day tomorrow and pack and throw some Protan on and get ready, and then I fly out on Friday. I get to see everyone, and then the fashion show is Saturday night.
That's cool.
You'll be in Chicago.
I'll be in Chicago, but we'll be rooting for you.
We'll be rooting for you.
Well, thank you.
I do have a girl up there, so I'll send her your way so she has some people to hang out with.
Definitely. I'll be hanging with Zach. I'm rooming with him, and he bought this like VIP suite that's insane. So we'll have like our own like living room. So I feel like it's going to be kind of the spot to hang out for my competitors to be able to get out of their cramped rooms and just have kind of a big living room to hang out. So it's going to be a really cool weekend. This is a really neat weekend for me. A lot of new competitors for me that are, well, new national competitors, I should say. So some people who have never done nationals, but they qualified last year and they haven't really done anything all year. So they're just kind of ready to like do nationals and bring the heat there, which I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah, I'd say that's really cool. So do you do warm-up shows with your girls before nationals?
Occasionally I will, but I do like dress rehearsals and kind of see how girls pose frequently and see how their performance is.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the main point of it's not even like a physique check. It's more like just making sure that the jitters aren't so, there's not so much there. There's not too much nervousness, even though it is a next level up, it's just another stage.
Biggest thing is seeing people walk, because that's what varies the most with a lot of girls. How comfortable are you in heels? I want to believe that you can go up and down steps with those things and make it look as natural as possible. And if I don't see that, that's where we're going to start doing some warm-up shows.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's definitely just like a jitter precaution too. That's awesome.
It definitely is.
So I definitely want to touch on, I guess, show day stuff. So, like, you see, like, some of these girls, like, getting up at, like, 2 a.m. to get their makeup done.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah. That makes it a really long day, because then sometimes the girls don't even go on till, like, late afternoon, like 3 or 4. So that right there, like, to me, screams stress. But, like we said, like, this day, there's no time for stress. You know what I mean? So, and I know that like the stress of like show day, like it already, like it shows up like Wednesday. You're already like, oh, like getting like those flutters in your chest because you think you're going to step out on stage. You know what I mean? So I know that those come quick, but quick and hard. So, but we wanted to talk about stage jitters, like actually like things that help to like kind of remove those and to get yourself on stage confident, prideful, chest nice and high. So the biggest thing for me, what I always did, because I'm not religious, so I know a lot of people pray before they go on, and that helps them kind of buckle in and get ready for the ride. But for me, I have always been one to give everything that I have for my preps. So when I finally get there, I'm really super content, first of all. And then I will literally, right before I go to step out from behind that curtain, I close my eyes, I take a really deep breath, because by the time I get to that curtain, your heart's kind of like racing, and your breath's kind of quick. So you got to slow it down. So you take that deep breath. And then the biggest thing is setting the tone. So when you walk out there, don't walk out there arms swinging, big deer eyes, and and walking really fast. The whole tactic is to walk out nice and slow, just nice and cruise control. Just go right out, right to that box, get set, and slowly get in that front pose. So by setting the tone for that, you automatically already are calming yourself down. So
that's a really good point.
Yeah, it's always helped me, just setting that tempo right from behind the curtain.
Do you tend to look anywhere in the audience specifically, or do you tend to kind of look more towards the back of the venue? You get judged by Sandy a lot. She's a very friendly face to look at. She's always smiling and always, nodding.
Yeah. So for me, it hasn't always been this way, but I've learned to really connect with the judges while I'm up there, because it does play a huge factor, because they want people that can show, they want people that can make connection, they want people that can generally like entertain when they get to the Olympia stage and they're broadcasting it to everyone in the world. You know what I mean? So they want you to be able to connect with them in order to be judged. You can radiate your personality like that. So for me, it was always a nervous thing to connect with them. But once I started doing it, it did get easier. And you realize that they're literally just there to judge you. Nothing else. They're not gonna set fire to your hair. They're not gonna growl at you. You know what I mean? So they're literally just there. They just look up and they look down. They look up. They look down. So, and you'll see them talk once in a while. But I actually feel, for me, like actually looking at them and looking into their eyes actually makes me feel a little bit more comfortable than trying to avoid them.
Yeah. I think Sandy has a very inviting look and provides my girls with comfort. Sandy's pretty much always smiling, and she's usually nodding her head when when I competed, I always got to see Becky Clausen, and I didn't even personally know Becky then, but it was funny because once I met her, I was like, "You're that judge I always look at because you're always smiling and you seem like you you seem like you at least like my physique." So
Right.
then I always looked at, back then Gary was judging quite a bit, and I could always tell Gary was looking at my legs, and I could tell like that my conditioning was keeping me in the game because there was no way in heck I was as big as anybody else.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you connect better with certain judges too. I do know that. I know that a lot. I started competing in the Northeast. So I was staring right at Maz, and I was staring right at Steve a majority of the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I had to get over my jitters real quick.
Yeah.
Steve will make you the best athlete you could possibly be because of the way that when he's sitting at that judge's table, there are no games.
It looks like business with him, which it is.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. So I learned real quick to just, no matter what, put on a show, because you're not always going to get Sandy at that judge's table. Even though it is really wonderful to see her and you feel a little bit more charismatic and a little bit more flowy and happy while you're up there, you can feel that way with all of them. It's just a matter of, just keeping your own cool. So I guess, honestly, you're not going to be good at something until you force yourself to do it, 1,000 times. You know what I mean?
I met Steve and asked him for feedback. He just straight up was like, she needs to be bigger. And I think I pulled like 20% of my girls from North Americans, which was basically everybody. I didn't bring anybody to North Americans that year because I was like, if Steve said this girl needed to be bigger, like you all need to be bigger, because she was my biggest at that time. And I was like, you all need to, we're not going to waste the money.
Yeah. No, it's, I know, I think over the years I've gotten the vibe that the judges, obviously they have a criteria. The bikini division is so subjective for starters. They have a certain criteria that they judge by, but then they also do have their personal preferences within an overall look and carry. So, I mean, for me, if we're getting raw with it, I think Steve really appreciates real full and very conditioned athletes.
Definitely.
And Sandy, amongst that, she loves the conditioning, but it's a different type of conditioning. It's where the muscle is really nice, and the muscle is very smooth to look at. The skin is very healthy, and the overall look is tight, and the muscles have like a nice, beautiful roundness to them, and the shape is the shape is always really, really nice. And the person always has that elegant carry about them, that the charisma when they walk out on stage. So I think Tyler has like the same as like Steve does, which I think that they're a cross between those two is probably like pretty close to perfect, which is probably your Miss Bikini Olympia.
Yeah, I agree.
It all makes sense. It really does, because they're like, they're the top judges there at that table closest to the center. So
yeah.
And then Gary too. I know Gary is very big on like form overall, body mass and conditioning being super balanced, and so conditioning is really, really big. But you always put your girls up there with a pristine conditioning. So
yeah, I've always been big on conditioning because for me as a believe it or not, I was a bodybuilder back in the day. That was the only way I could hang, was to be lean enough, and maybe be lean enough to be impressive against these big guys. So a lot of people did not see me coming when I went to shows, and when I unzipped my jacket or whatnot, and when they saw how conditioned I was, people would be like, wow, I didn't even take a second look at this guy when he was dressed up backstage. I also would say I posed well, where I looked bigger when I posed, so that always helped too. So I spent a lot of time working on posing, and usually at least 2 hours a week roughly on posing alone. And that was a big advantage to just bodybuilding for me, I think. So I feel like in physique, it'd be I'd have to really practice a lot if I ever decided to jump in that, where classic physique is very similar. So I would need a whole lot of posing work for regular physique.
That would be cool to see you back on stage.
Yeah, if I did come back, it probably would be physique. I've juggled it around about making a return when I'm 40, which is only 2 more years, so it's not that far away. But I've been getting after my training quite a bit recently, so it's I am getting the itch, maybe a little bit, you would say.
Yeah, me too.
Very good.
Yeah. No, but so did you just break a secret to everybody on this video, or do a lot of people know about it already?
I haven't officially announced it yet, and I probably need to talk to my wife about it a little bit and see what she thinks. But I've had a few people that have talked to that about, and I do think that if I were to do it, it'd definitely be when I was 40, and definitely no time sooner. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
do it. You'll literally have the entire audience rooting for you. So
I figure, why not enter my 40s in like the best shape of my life once again?
Yeah, you just peak. That'd be awesome.
Boom. Yeah. And then drink some Coors Light afterwards.
Carving up, simply carving up. That's it.
Yes.
But, so I know. All right. So we covered. I want to make sure that because we had that request, I just want to make sure that we covered everything.
I think one thing great to cover along with us is maybe like post-show emotions.
I like that. Because I know people, they thrive off of that structure and the control and everything like that. So, and I know people even deal with post-show stuff, like in terms of like how they did too. So, I mean, it could go either way. Like, obviously reversing is always the best way to go, but that doesn't always work out. There's a lot of other psychological things that happen after a show. So people are scared to eat more food. Some people are scared to lower their cardio. Some people are scared to see a little bit of body fat come on because they've seen themselves for so many weeks at a certain, body fat. So they think that that's, maintainable all year long when, we're not, our bodies are basically at some point, if we're not refeeding it and feeding it more and taking diet breaks and paying attention to micronutrients and sleeping and things like that, our bodies, are potentially going to try to have to protect themselves, and things can happen. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, for you, what's your experience? Like, what's your 50-50 on like that? Like,
I think the biggest thing I see is girls just like really comparing themselves to maybe the top 5 in their class just from photos. And I think something that's really helpful is being able to take a step back. If you're lucky enough to find a video of your entire class, that's something more objective to go by. You're going to see everyone's posing routine. Sometimes the stills are just, the photographer doesn't know how everyone's going to hit their front pose or when to actually capture them when they look their best. And I've seen it where my girls have sent me, hey, like, this girl looks better, or I look better than this girl. And I'm like, you do. But I said, you do from the photo. So I'd really like to see a video of this. And, sometimes even the video comes through, and I feel like maybe my girl did look better, but, you know, I didn't get to see each person's individual routine or anything like that. So that makes it difficult. I don't get to see what every judge saw from every different seat. You know, we all picture ourselves being center box all the time when we pose. But I think a lot of this is looking good for all 7 of those judges from any angle. Because even if you're center, like the guy on the very right might think the girl on who's right in front of him looks the best. And she has the best advantage to pick up that judge's eye. So I think that's always what people don't take into consideration with that. And I think also too, like I've seen girls post about how it's bull crap or something like that. And that's like the worst thing you could do.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I know, I mean, I've always, majority of my girls are always just very grateful, you know, for their show day, their health, and getting there and doing the dang thing, which is something that I've always been very proud of myself too. I've never felt the need to place blame on anything or anyone else. So the judges are literally there they have, I want to say like 12 hours sometimes, like 8 to 12 hours in which they're judging, they're looking at these bodies and things like that. And people will complain about like the intermissions, but I'm telling you right now, if you sat through a whole dang show and then, you know, try to like just run through the whole thing, it's going to start being a blur. Especially if it's like a national show and a long day. It just is. So that's why they take intermissions, even if it's like 15 minutes and just to get some food and just, you know, clear their brain a little bit. But I think like the main thing that people need to take away from the shows is that it is always about, at the end of the day, it is always about who shows up. You could show up better. You could have followed the judge's feedback, improve, come back better, but it will always be about who shows up. So I would say, like, you know, as a coach too, you can look from the outside in too and say, all right, yeah, we could definitely get your delts a little bit bigger and fuller and we could balance out your physique more. I see what they're saying now. Because also you have to consider, like, they're looking at a girl like this from this angle, you know? So it's like the upper body does have to be pretty full. You know what I mean? But then also, you know, there's other factors that go into it. It is about who shows up. I'm telling you, because if nobody shows up with big delts, you know what I mean? So, or you know, if there's 2 girls that show up with big delts, but their conditioning is not good. You know what I mean? It's all about who shows up. So, and for me, like, I've never had big, round, full cap delts ever. And I made it to 4th in the world. I said, I don't care. I said, I'm going to keep doing it. You know what I mean? You just do your best, and you do your best to, you know, you can eyeball yourself and be honest with yourself, give yourself some feedback and say, all right, cool. Yeah, I do want to make my shoulders bigger. Let's do this. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think it's about who shows up. But do you agree with me?
Absolutely. I mean, things as small as your heels, like I've seen some girls wear blinged out heels. And if I'm on a judging panel for 8 hours, even though I'm there to judge your physique, I might get distracted by what your shoes are doing. Like, you know, just me being a coach and trying to be really objective, because I really try to take everything how it is so I can give my clients valuable feedback from what I saw. I see stuff like that, and it'll pull me from actually, oh, what did that person look like? I don't know. I was looking at their shoes, you know, and then I'm like, I have to refocus.
Yeah. Yep. No, and that's very, very true too. So it is in the finer details as well, because I think we spoke before on this. When it comes down to the top, you know, 1, 2, and 3 at a national level, it could be anyone. So they're going to start picking apart little tiny things. You know what I mean? They're just going to start really looking at the overall look, and, you know, just, you know, the overall, like, a beauty, smile, the way you carry yourself, your posing. Are you getting fatigued on stage? Are you nervous still? You know what I mean? They're going to start picking apart those little tiny things, because this is going to be your next bikini pro. So all of this should already be in line. So you can potentially go just do a pro show if you are ready for it.
Absolutely.
You know? So what's your big take on, say, one of your girls gets her pro card and they want to do a pro show right away, but they're not ready physique-wise, but they still want to do the pro show?
Yeah, I think it comes down to doing the right type of pro show in that regard. Also, just setting the expectation on what to expect. So I do think that if you feel like the person can hang, I think go ahead and send them. But if they can't, it's time for an off season. And
Right.
I'm usually pretty adamant about taking some time off and then doing the pros versus getting too excited and jumping right in.
Right. Because a lot of these girls have that mentality of just seeing where I land, just seeing, getting there and just kind of seeing what happens. And but in the back of their head, they're going in with that mentality that they're going to, get top 5 right out the bat. And some really do. They come right out and they get top 5. I've seen people get their pro cards at a show and then win that pro show and get qualified for the Olympia. That's happened in bikini before, I think twice. So in the last couple of years. So, but you have to be that good, But so I think that, just jumping into a show and seeing where you land it's cool and it's fun. But if that is not a genuine, honest, remark with yourself, like it's not gonna pay off. You're better off just taking the time off and then coming back when you're 100% ready and want to really do really well. So, because it's intimidating, like you said before. I know, like for me, my pro debut, it was terrifying. But I got up there and I had a lot of fun. So
you did.
But I took some time off. So after I got my pro card at North Americans, I didn't go on stage until the following May. So that's August to May. So that was like my first little time period off. So, and then I think I set a prep like in February or something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because I think you'd reach out to me maybe the last part of February.
Yeah. Yeah, you get, oh my God, yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. So I remember so many different things about that show day. Like I felt ready and I think we were like both really, really super content with my look. We were really happy with it. And I remember you threw some salt at me before I went on. I pumped up and I went on and that was a very improved physique. It was awesome. So, but I do remember I gave you a hard time about trying to feed me.
Yes. That was something different. And it's funny, I have a photographic memory. We did these brownie chips. Do you remember those?
No.
They were thin brownie chips.
Brownie brittle, yeah.
Brownie brittle, yes.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I remember everything. I have a photographic memory, so.
I remember eating those during prep. I would just have that 1 ounce and it was good for the day. Yeah,
and you were like, can I do these on my show day? I was like, I think this would be an excellent possible pump-up meal. So we used those. And
that's so awesome. I haven't had brownie brittle in so long. My Nana used to keep that stuff stockpiled in the house, bags on bags.
All our viewers might have brownie brittle for pump-up now.
Yeah, oh my God, it's so good. Salted caramel.
It was good. You shared some with me. It's amazing.
A good share.
And then we had dinner at the, I think, the hotel there with your family, which was fun. So, yeah, that was, even though you didn't place the way you'd wanted to, what I always enjoyed about coaching you was you really, even though you're sad about placement, you never let it affect your whole day. And I really always say, I think that's what's made you a great competitor is if you let so many of those ruin your day, I don't think you would still have the lifeline of competing that you have now. You would get burned out, and you've really enjoyed every state you've been to, every venue, and every experience. And you have a, great family that has gone to a lot of your shows, and you always make it about more than just competing, you know.
Always try to make it an experience, because you never know what you're going to leave with. You can leave with first, you can leave with 10th, or you can leave with 15th. So I always make it an experience. I was actually thinking about this the other day, and I was just sitting there, and like, people that compete need to realize that it is literally a show. It is all about the physique and the way that you show it off and the way you look. It is literally everything that is on the outside. Everything that's on the outside, and that is it. They don't know if you're mean as cat shit. They don't know if you donate to places. They don't know, like, if you're married and have kids. They don't, you know what I mean? Unless you get close to them. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So it just so happens that what is right now the best physique in the world, Angelica Teixeira, it just so happens that she is also a very wholesome, wonderful person. But it could have not have been that way. You know what I mean? So, but people seem to take their placements personally. Mm-hmm. So that's like my big thing. I don't take my placements personally, because it's not personally attacking me. I didn't give them anything personal to judge. You know what I mean? I just gave them architecture, just something to look at.
It's a really amazing thing you said right there. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think about this stuff all the time, but you have to pull yourself out of that. It's not a personal thing. They're literally, you could be a witch, mean as cat shit, and just show yourself off the best body and the best physique and the best, posing routine and everything. You know what I mean? So, or you could be a really nice person and not do well, but you can't take it personally because you didn't show them, you can't go shake their hand and say, you can't, you know what I mean? You can't do that while you're on stage.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's very valuable, what you just said. That's amazing.
Yeah. So don't take your placing personally, because the judges are not.
Right.
So, but I think that's one thing that we could definitely share with everyone. So I hope everybody gets to see this. And we do have, I wanted to send a little love and a little bit of recognition to MEK Fit. She is with Prep by Will. She's coming up in the industry now. In the last couple of months, I've seen her as a really great posing coach.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I want to make sure I threw her in there.
That's awesome. Very, very cool.
Yeah. She's got a little bit of a different edge. I've been watching some of her clients. So yeah, it's neat.
That's cool. It's really neat because we've seen a lot of people who have been doing this for years, and naturally there's only so many clients one posing coach can take on, and there has to be some sort of turnover, where people just get too busy and they're only, I feel like there's always a certain maximum even me can do in terms of clients, and I've just learned to know what that is, and then I start getting too much turnover. So I've really found a good sweet spot with where I kind of open my doors and when I don't, and that's been key, because now there are so many coaches and there's so many good coaches for people to gravitate to nowadays that you just can't prep everybody,
Yeah.
And the same with
if we could, we would, but
yes.
There's a lot of them. But I'm really glad that we talked about that topic, because I was thinking about it real deep, like a couple days ago, very, very frequently. Because one of my girls had just gotten off stage last weekend from the Dallas Europa, and she was very, very grateful for her placing, but I know that she wants better. And in my heart, I said, I really hope she doesn't take it personally, because she is an absolutely beautiful person. So it's just a matter of just making some tweaks when she gets on stage this weekend.
Yeah, me and you both train some really awesome people, and I think that's one thing that's great is my wife's always joked that we tend to not really have any black sheep on our team, where it's people that are just mean or catty very often, and if we do find those people, they don't last very long, because our team's just so genuine and wholesome. A lot of times, if a girl like that gets on our team, no one really likes them. And then they kind of find their way out pretty quick.
Right.
So,
The support doesn't come around full circle like it does with everyone else.
right.
And I definitely feel you like with that. And two, I think that obviously you and I, we both attract a certain type of athlete as well too. So,
Definitely.
and me, I know a lot of girls want to work with me just because of who I am in the industry, because I have like that experience of actually stepping on stage what seems like 1,000 amazing times.
Yeah.
But, and you know, being recent. But I'm really happy that I embraced being a coach a couple of years ago. I'm really happy with that, because it's taught me, you know, so much too. It's not just me teaching, you know, people things. It's me learning all the time. It's always evolving, always changing. And, you know, I'm sure you know, and it's going faster than we can almost keep up with lately.
I think a lot of it, there's so much content out there for people to digest. Some of it's correct, and then some of it's just downright wrong.
Yeah, or super repetitive with like a little tweak in there.
Yes, yeah, there's a lot of that. So, and I don't think it's done purposefully. I just think a lot of people tend to talk about, you know, the same things. Someone could be doing a podcast just like ours right now, and they'd be like, wow, that's really similar, you know?
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I do a similar one. But I would say you and I get a little bit more like into like the science behind some stuff. It's nice to be able to show people that I have brains in here.
Yeah, yeah. And I think people enjoy like picking your brain a little bit. So that's good. And maybe we'll do one that's like super sciencey sometime. But I think people also really enjoy the casualness of what we do too. So.
Yeah. Well, and what we can start doing, so everybody sees this, we can start doing where we take like a question. So we'll pick like our own topic, or we talk about it, you know, say for like, you know, 20, 25 minutes. And then we actually cover a topic from someone else. You know, we just pick somebody like whatever comment like underneath this video.
I would love that. So if anyone wants to comment below anything that they want us to cover, we would be happy to do that. So we try to do this once a week. We've been really good at it. So that's awesome.
We're going to keep up.
We will.
Yeah. And I think we did really good today. So I hope that everybody learned some valuable stuff and got some insight. And again, if you guys need any help with anything, we are both always here. We are so good at managing stage jitters and show day chaos. So just hit us up.
Got a good backstage voice if anyone needs it to keep them calm.
Yeah, right. You turn on your coach voice, right?
Yeah.
Coach pep talk.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I know. When somebody really needs it, you can dig and find those words. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you were a competitor as well, so you know where all those feelings are coming from. So I think that's also the benefit of having you and I as a coach, because we do have those genuine, you know, dig deep feelings, you know, about a lot of things that have to do with getting on stage and being in prep and things like that. So
absolutely.
You're awesome.
You're awesome. Well, guys, let us know if you have anything you want us to cover. We'll be back again next week once Casey returns from the fashion show. When do you get back?
Sunday.
Do you have any big plans while you're out and about traveling?
I did, but now I don't.
Got you.
I might be doing something fun here in a couple of weeks. We'll see.
I'll probably find a sushi spot in Chicago.
Oh, that sounds like a great idea.
Most people go for the pizza, and I could see me getting, sometimes I just get drugged where my competitors' taste buds go. So on my terms, I like sushi, but I also haven't dieted for weeks, so I'll tend to go wherever everyone else wants to go.
I do have a recommendation for everyone up there. It's called Stan's Donuts.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Oh my God, they're really, really good. They have like a pistachio glazed donut. It's just good. It's amazing.
That's awesome. And Zach ordered like 200 bucks worth of cookies, I think, and he's having them shipped to his room. So,
Oh my God. That's so awesome.
So I'm going to try to stay away from those if I can.
A bite or two won't hurt you. That's what they say, right?
Maybe if I get a really good workout that morning, I'll partake.
I always say just a bite won't hurt.
Yeah, if you can stop at a bite, that's helpful.
Exactly. That's the whole point. That's why we just say no.
I might have to come back at 42 instead of 40.
Not from a cookie, but we can use cookies as pump up.
That's true.
You have my permission. I'll be there.
Yes. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will sign off here and see you guys next week.
Next week, guys.
See ya. Let's see. Oh, I'm still recording.